All right. Welcome back to the 5 a.m. Club After Hours, where we discuss business, fitness, finance, and men's health, men's mental health. And we got Gene and Adrian here tonight. Donnie might be joining a little later, but we're gonna get this good conversation started. How you doing, Gene?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Had a great, Labor Day, weekend, a good amount of time off. So I'm doing pretty good. Drinking some tea because I've been out for the past few days. So my voice is, crazy.
You've been out partying. You're out on the town.
Somebody got to do it.
Yeah, I can't do it, so you do it for
Some,
me.
somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it.
And there's Labor Day. I'm glad you said something about Labor Day. So I'm gonna give everyone a statistic, well, a data point, a historical data point on Labor Day, just in case people don't know what Labor Day really is and how it came to be. So in 1984, after a series of labor strikes, President Grover Cleveland signed a law making Labor Day a national holiday. Today is seen as both tribute to workers' achievements and as an unofficial end of summer. So you get barbecues and family gatherings, parades, a lot of drinking, and but it really don't make sense to do that on Labor Day, to tell you the truth, because you got to go to work the next day most of
True.
the time. So people
True.
stay out cooking, drinking, and then they dread going to work the next day. So I didn't really do anything Labor Day myself. I worked really, worked on the business, did some. My son's birthday, my youngest son's birthday was Friday, so we did a little
Okay.
birthday celebration with him. Not
Ha-
anything big.
Happy birthday to the young man.
Yeah, Messiah Holidays one, walking around, running around. So, but and it's I don't know if you watched the Jubilee. You watched Jubilee on YouTube, like the 20
No,
versus one.
no.
So Jubilee, they have different segments of 20 versus
I've
one
seen
one person.
snippets of a
Yeah,
few. I know Amanda, I forgot her name, Amanda something. I know she did one. I think that's her name.
yeah. It's
I've
Amanda.
seen snippets of a few. I've seen snippets.
Yeah, but is it Bowles? It's not Amanda Bowles.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, she's extremely, extremely intelligent, and man, she was given that business for real.
Yeah. So I do have a clip I'm gonna play. I don't know what happened to Adrian, but he could jump in whenever he joins back. But the clip is of Patrick David. You know who that is?
Hmm.
So it's 20 anti-capitalists versus Patrick David.
Oh
So
man,
it,
that's because
yeah.
he believes in putting in that work and trying to get it all. You
Yeah, and I
know.
didn't know he was in the army. He comes from the military.
Yes. I saw that. I saw that. I mean, even his mannerism, like his take is he's very stern.
Yeah,
He's very stern.
and maybe that's why I like him. So,
Yeah. I mean, I like Patrick. I don't believe in everything he says, obviously, but he's good. He's good.
so we're gonna listen to this, and then we're gonna talk about it. So let me go ahead and let me know if you can't hear it when I hit play. Pretty sure you can see it. So let's go ahead and get into it.
My next claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. What's your name?
Caleb.
Caleb?
Yeah. So you just said that you are proposing if we divided all the wealth equally in like 5 years. How would you propose we divide the wealth in that way? In this thought experiment, again,
Right.
if we're going to give it a serious
Right.
look, I want to understand how would you propose that happen?
I hope you realize this is just a question we're asking everybody, right? But if you take all the wealth, which is around $500 trillion, okay, give or take, you divide it by 8 billion people,
Okay.
it would be around $62,500 each. Within 5 years, the people that don't know how to handle money themselves, they would lose it all. And within 5 years, the same wealthy would get the same amount of money.
As someone who certainly doesn't make that much money, I'm willing to take that as a gamble just for fun.
Right,
I'll be
sure.
honest. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, Okay, so you're just
My next claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally.
Okay, let's stop it there. Let me get over here. Boom. So let me get back to the right view. So if all the money in the world was divided equally, it would go back into the same person's pocket. What do you think about that?
I think that's correct. Um, most definitely, it would go. It may not go back exactly to the same people, but it would steer right back to a small amount of people would have a majority of the wealth because it's just having and multiplying money takes a skill set, takes consistency, and it takes discipline. And a lot of people don't have that. Like even if you look at, around you, just people day to day, right? Like the way they spend, like the way they spend, even what they don't have, right? It's just very free, and so honestly, if we divided all the money in the world and gave everybody like the same amount, in a very short amount of time, I think it'll be less than 5 years. In my opinion, I do believe in a very short amount of time, most of that money will go right back to a small group of people again. It may not be the same groups of people, but it will go back to a small group of people will accumulate a good amount of that wealth because it's systems that's in place and it's knowledge, and people some people don't care, right? I mean, as soon as I seen the man that he was debating with, I seen the fit he had on. I knew that one was gonna be a good clip.
Yeah.
I just knew it was gonna be a good clip. So I do believe in that.
So Adrian, what about you? If all the money in the world was divided equally, would it go back in the same person or people's pockets?
Yeah, absolutely. There's only a few people who know what to do with it. Like, we don't know what to do with money for real. Spending on things that we really don't need. We don't know much about equity, investing. We don't know about creating systems or even generating wealth. And we talked about this earlier, Dominic. I know I wouldn't be able to hold. I'm a worker that's transitioning to try to be an entrepreneur, right? But if it was up
Mhm.
to me, I would work my 40, get a paycheck, and call it a day. But with 8 kids, you know what I'm saying? That ain't the move.
Okay, we got someone in the comments. So Dr. Wilkinson, I'm hoping to say your name right. So she says it would go back into some of the same people, but now there's more level playing field. Now the wealth is more even, and not 1% of the planet owning 90% of the wealth. We would have to invest in money management to show people how to keep the wealth with that wealth. And she also agrees because those who had that overwhelming wealth know the loopholes and the ins and outs of finances. And that's great. I agree with her as well because your network is more powerful than people think, right? So my take on it is that it would go back in the same pockets because the network is there, the knowledge is there. So those two align. So they will have partnerships, teaming agreements, things like that to create something that they can sell to others that it either is a need or it is exciting to that person. So if you look at it from that standpoint, a lot of people would spend more faster because they feel like they have a lot of money now and they wouldn't notice that they are living outside of their means because even if you are a millionaire, billionaire, you still have means that you need to live inside of. And a lot of people don't like to create, right? A lot of people like to just buy, be a consumer. So what I mean by creating is creating jobs, creating opportunities, um, creating wealth really and having it work for you. whether that's investing, whether that's in having a job or a product that you're developing and having teams that you are employing to, you know, create even a bigger version of that, right? So that's why I wanted to pick the topic today about having a niche, right? When you're going into being an entrepreneur, like your niche is something that you really have to grow off of, and you have to really direct your energy towards, whether it's project management, whether that's if you're in tech, whether that's in your in on the investment side, development of investment of real estate, or you know just investing in the stock market and learning how to do that, right? So it could grow that way. So when you pick a niche or niche, however, whatever way you want to pronounce it, you want to go into something that you're very passionate about, one, and also that is there is a market for it, right? Or you have to learn a skill that you can use to make you money. So, like I said, I agree with his take on the money will go back into the same people's pockets because we just don't have enough knowledge on how to grow, how to create, how to manage, how to budget, how to do all of these things, and we only know the things that are put in front of you, in front of us. Which I'm just speaking from a general perspective, how to spend because we see all these ads every day, we see all of these opportunities that we can give money, and then we don't have the discipline or the consistency to stick things out. So even if you do go into learning, you're going to spend money on something that you're not going to stick with, and then you're going to just go into the shiny object pattern. I'm gonna jump here. I'm gonna jump here. Now you're just spending money, spending money, spending money, spending money, and not seeing the return on revenue. It's sad. I call it knowing the purpose and finding your passion. Exactly. So that's the one thing that I wanted to drill down on is having a niche that you want to grow off of, and a lot of people don't have that. So my question to you, Adrian, since you are a forced entrepreneur like you, how did you even get into mental health or even want to become a therapist?
Yo, so it's so crazy, right? I never wanted to be a therapist. So when I went to school, I didn't know what to major in. So my aunt was like, yo, major in social work and I'll get you a job. All right, cool, right? So that's why I did it, right? I finished school. I had my daughter. Her mom at the time was like, "Yo, you can get your master's in social work in a year because of your GPA. I'll do the legwork, like the application and all of that." I'm like, "All right, do it, cool." I'm thinking, okay, with social work, I'll be like a supervisor with DSS or something. I get down there, my first class is individual interventions. So I'm like, hold on, so I'm gonna be like a therapist? They was like, yeah, if you get trained and take the test. I'm like, so people gonna sit on my couch and I'm gonna early. So I literally just like fell into it. But in terms of my niche, it literally just came from my own pain and struggles. So that's why like I love working with men to have to go through life and figure out everything on my own and not really have no one to help me or to guide me. I literally did it on my own with my education and things like that and marriage. You know, I'm divorced, now I'm remarried, but being a man in marriage are things that are near and dear, to me. And so I get a lot of men who want to do the work, or when the men mess up, their wives will come get me because they like, hey, he specializes with men, so then the man is more likely to go with it because I'm a man. So staying in that lane is what allows me to provide for my family. So
That's amazing. And I'll give you guys a story on how Adrian and I met. So, not saying that my marriage was ever like bad or terrible. It was some things that I needed to work on with myself, and my wife went and found Adrian. So, and now my wife doesn't meet with Adrian, but I've been meeting with Adrian for about 3 years now after our therapy stopped. So, our marriage therapy stopped. It's really funny, like the patterns that he's recognized in identifying who his target is, no matter where it goes, is amazing because a lot of people just take the work and don't realize like that's who they're speaking to is the man. and it comes from their passion and your struggle and everything that you've been through. Because I'll tell you myself, when I did get into therapy, I didn't want to talk to you. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I'm just go. I'm gonna go to make you happy. I don't want to talk to this guy. Like he is. What are you gonna tell me something I don't know? you know. But then when he started talking, I was like, oh, okay. So if I do this, my marriage will get better. And I can tell you, a lot of people that's married, men specifically, if you bring a therapist on, your wife will listen to you, even if it's something that you already said. A lot of times, because a lot of things that I said to my wife or the things that we were going through, I would give solutions, but because I have already offended her, which I learned from Adrian, she was not receptive in what I was telling her because I didn't ask questions. I just gave her an answer. As men, we want to just solution every problem. Like, well, you telling me this, I'm telling you the solution. Why are you not receiving it? And sometimes people just want to vent. And then when everything is died down, you can go into, okay, now this is the solution. And I don't want to get off there. Go
Well,
ahead.
listen, but
So
right quick, right quick. You know what's crazy? When my wife wanted to go to therapy, I'm like, yo, for what? I'm a therapist, right? I already know. So we get there, and he's saying the same stuff I be saying, but she listening. And at first, I was offended, right? But it goes to your point. Sometimes because of our perspectives and the things we go through, they just need that outside voice, that outside kind of person. And then just by us doing that, everything just started kind of working on out, and I learned to just like listen and really focus on the emotions first. All of the things that I knew and would tell other people but kind of struggled to implement, man. That bringing in that extra person is gold, especially if you do it early on and don't wait. Please don't wait, y'all. If y'all in a marriage and y'all good, or even if it's go now, go now. Please go now.
Adrian, so question for you, right? Um, what if how does it work, right, when a therapist goes see another therapist?
Therapist.
D- is it typically like, I know what he's about to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was judging. The first few therapists we went, I'm like, you ain't even handle that situation right. Like, you ain't even handle that back and forth right. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's difficult, as I can imagine, for anybody, right? Like, that's just like in y'all field, if somebody try to tell you something that you do this, you're not just gonna listen if it's wrong. You're gonna, So it took somebody. It was he's an apostle too. So because I knew he was smarter than me, one, and his ability to articulate things a certain way, it was easy to, receive what he was saying, and then just being quiet. And then those off meeting with him one on one too, so I could understand like his plan, how he was addressing it, asking all of the questions. So we found somebody that worked for us, and it was cool. Then, like Dominique's point, once that piece is ironed out, it's been up since then.
Okay.
So outside of therapy, so Gene, I know, well, we all know that you're in the military, but you
Yes.
do other things outside the military. So being that you are in the military, what do you feel the military can teach you? Because Patrick David, he comes from the military. To pick a niche, to even be disciplined, to even carry out a plan. Well, I know because I was in the military, but I want to get your perspective on, like, if someone is becoming an entrepreneur and they pick a niche and they're coming out of the military, whether that's investing in real estate, whether that's getting into the stock market, whether that's even getting into a field where they can grow as an entrepreneur. How does the military help you with doing that?
Oh, great question. Can you guys see me right
Yeah, we
now?
can see you.
Okay. So I think the military helps with that kind of the same way sports as well, right? So I think the military helps because it gives you the foundation of the importance of the little things, right? Like the waking up early in the morning, right? The earlier you wake up, the more of the day you have. It's just math, right? And then also having a routine, right? The military helps you with a routine, right? Like I wake up at this time, I work out at this time, I go to work at this time. When I get to work, I do this at this time. I have lunch at this time. And then after lunch, I'll have a meeting to start talking about going home at this time, right? So I think what the military will do to help somebody once they have their niche and help them be successful at that is teaching them discipline and consistency, right? Because a lot of the times, I've spoken to a lot of retirees, and they always speak as far as like, hey, I've been out for 5 years, but I still wake up every day at 6:30 in the morning. I still wake up and go run a mile or two, right? Because they've done it for so long and it's just a routine, you know? And I can't remember where I read it from, but most successful, if you take the average of the most successful entrepreneurs, right? Most of them play sports or run the military because of that routine. Like you understand, delayed gratification, right? Because you might start a business and it takes 1 month, or it takes a year, or it takes 5 years, to be successful. But you understand, like, hey, I have to get up though and put that work in. I still have to sweep the building, right? Like it may be something small, but I still have to do it. I gotta get up, make my bed, eat my breakfast, go work out. Because all that, those small wins, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I still did a lot. So that's what I think the military does for entrepreneurs, especially once they already find their niche.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you're saying too, because everything that you said, I agree with. And because I was in the military, I still get up at, well, I get up earlier now, but I get up at around 3:30, 4 o'clock, right? And I can operate off less sleep, even though it's not healthy. But when I do have to be up later and get up early, I still can function for a while. And that's what the military taught me, especially when I was deployed in Afghanistan and came back home. I never changed my routine. And the reason being was because I saw so much success. I got so many awards. I got so much done. And Gene is right. You get up early, you have a lot more time to do what you need to do. And then you can chip into, or pick up things that you didn't catch. Because what I've learned from being a coach and being in corporate America as well was, you could plan as much as possible, but there's always going to be things that come up that you don't know or didn't plan for it to happen. Nothing works in a straight line. If you look at the world, everything works the same way. If you look at the stock market, you look at the real estate. Those are two things that has never changed. And if you look at historical data, it goes up and down the same way around the same time. So why is that? Because businesses, if you're looking at the stock market, they have quarters. They measure by quarters. So if they are down a quarter, their whole goal is to get up the next quarter, to get better. And that is dictating the stock market. The S&P 500 is made up of all of these companies that are in competition and trying to be better every quarter. And if you're better every quarter, if you have 3 winning quarters and 1 losing quarter, you should have a successful year, right? But if you have 3 bad quarters and 1 good quarter, that means your company may be in on the verge of going bankruptcy or someone buying you out, right? So when a small business or even a solo entrepreneur is trying to grow, I always tell them you have to have a plan. Yes, you don't know what's going to happen, but you also have a direction that you're going in. You have to have that direction. You have to have that focus. You have to have that consistency and discipline to get up and do the little things, like Gene said, to be aware of always continuing to get better, to also think of scaling even when it's only one person. And a lot of people fear scaling because they're like, I don't want to pay anybody. I want to keep all the money to myself. But what they don't see is the bigger picture. That's why people that have wealth, they think long term instead of short term, whether that's investing, product development, company development, any type of development. They like think of the long term outcome, and then they get there quicker and more efficiently by thinking long term. If you don't think long term, you're going to take the little bit of money or the little crumbs that people are giving you because you're like, I just want the money, I just want the money, I just want the money. And it may not align with what you're doing. So you got to always get better. So the military has taught me a lot. And like I said, I agree with Gene on his take. You have to take that training and those habits and build off of them. Now, the next topic, work smarter, not harder. So I'll start with you, Gene, because you are in the military right now. And I know it's a lot of people in the military. And, we're in the Navy, so we poke our chest out a little more. We like to look good. We like to present better than other branches. I'm not knocking any other branch. I'm just saying like what is engraved in us.
Yeah.
But I also know when you're at a lower enlisted level, you don't understand the value of working smarter, not harder. So what can you tell, either people in the military that's transitioning out or just people in general? What have you learned going up in rank? Because you're E6 now. Am I
Yeah.
right? You're E6
Yes.
now. And you started out at E1 or
E1.
E1. So
E1.
growing, how did you learn to work smarter and not harder?
Yeah, so I go at 1,000 miles per hour all day, every day, right? And that may sound good to most people, but sometimes you could really just drain yourself out because you're running at 1,000 miles per hour, but you're not going nowhere, right? And I heard Denzel say something a couple months ago. He was like, um, you could be running in place, right, where you're moving, but you're not going anywhere, right? So when you just join the Navy, at first you think, right, this doesn't make sense. They're telling me to do all these things, and why I could do it like this is so much simpler because you don't see the whole picture. You don't see why, I want you to do it this way. Yes, your way may be a little faster, but your way gives more chance for you or your peoples or your team to get hurt, right?
Mhm.
So I'm telling you to do it this way because if you or your team get hurt, now I have to answer for it, right? And then also working smarter, not harder, is very important in the military specifically because a lot of the times you see that there's a lot of people that are they've been in for a few years, and in the Navy we make rank a little different, right? You have to take a test, and then your test with your evaluation and all that stuff, and then there's quotas, right? All that stuff matters, right? And I always speak about the whole circle. You can't be a great test taker but you didn't do well in your platoon or in your division or in your department that whole year. Because if you don't do well, then you're gonna have a low evaluation. So you can't just have half the circle. You gotta have the whole circle because that's what's gonna help you. Because if quotas is low and you scored high and you had a higher eval, then you're gonna make rank. That's working smarter because you have a lot of people, they know their jobs like anybody else, hard worker, but they didn't do the other things, right? They didn't do the community service hours, the education, the collateral duties, and all that stuff, right? And you need to do those things to get that good eval, right? So if you have a good eval and you're a good test taker, you're gonna make rank. But if you have a great eval and you don't study, you don't have the whole circle. So it's like you're working hard, but you're not working smart, and you have to work smart. You have to know, hey, this may be the time where I kind of just relax. This is the time where I got to put the foot on the gas and stuff, right? Because you can't be 1,000 miles per hour all day, every day, all year. That's not how it's going to work. That's not, you're going to tire yourself out. So working smart and harder in the military itself, very important because of those reasons.
Yeah, great. And I do agree with that. So like the eval, because I may rank a little later. I'm not gonna lie, because I was one of those that I didn't really enjoy what I was doing. And then one day it was just like, I just gotta do this. And then I became that person that was very driven and very like, I'm gonna get, I'm gonna have that full circle. Like I'm not just gonna work hard. I'm gonna work hard for a reason, and that
Yes.
reason is learning so I can do well. Right. So, yeah, that great take, Gene. So I'm gonna go to Adrian next. Working harder. I mean, working smarter, not harder. So you are a therapist. You've been a therapist a while. So how many years have you been a therapist?
Since like 2013, so like 12. Dang, 12 years.
Yeah, over a
12 years.
decade.
Over a
So over a
decade.
decade. So what have you learned? Because we talk a lot about your business and how you're trying to grow. So what have you learned about working smarter, not harder?
Um, I think it boils down to self-awareness a lot of times, and working smarter could be difficult because a lot of times it's not our norm, right?
Mhm.
Like I explained, hey, I'm a
Mm.
worker. You know what I'm saying? 40 hours, give me a paycheck, I would be happy as long as it would take care of everything, right? But that's not smart to apply that same way of going to building a business, to hiring and having an entrepreneur, right? I also have a heart to people. I can't help everybody and build my business as well too, right? That was one thing that really would drain me. I would want to help everybody, anybody who looked like me, especially with me believing in God and church. And then one day it's like good will keep you from your purpose too, right? And so that's smarter, versus continuing to take things on, being able to have room, energy, space for my family, being able to take the time to sit and go through my own emotions, right? Because everything I do with my clients and stuff, I had to do with me for the most part first, but just throughout this whole journey. And so that was me being smarter as well too, versus continuing to try to work to just go and just do what I'm comfortable with or what is easy, for me. So getting my schedule, trying to get up early in the mornings now, making sure my work and stuff is done Sundays so I can have my specific time to do everything, through the week. Also, a big thing is working smarter, not harder, is how many clients I see, right? Because initially I'm just trying to get the bag and I'm taking on any and everybody. But to Dominique's point, having a niche, you may not get as much right away, but long term, 4 or 5 years, that's when you really start seeing the benefits of niching down. So now people are coming to me that are aligned to me. It's a lot easier for me to work with just men and just couples versus taking on anybody at all so I could just have as many clients. So, and that goes to that all money ain't good money, type of thing, to where I even had somebody reach out to me to offer me an opportunity to do some clinical supervision for them, 4 or 5 hours a week, $1,000. I'm like, bet at first. And it's like, no, that's going to take you away from where you're trying to get to. That's the smarter piece, right? Versus continuing to do that long term. And so, and y'all hit on it too with the military, that delayed gratification. That thing real. That thing is so real. So,
Adrian, question, right? I'm
mhm.
sorry, Dom. How did you get to the point of realizing I only want to work with couples and men? Like what got you there?
Okay, so before I say that, had I listened to people like Dominique early on, when people talk to you about niching down and things like that, I fought it until I literally got to the place where I couldn't do it no more. Right? Working with couples and working with men was easy for me. Working with people who have more severe mental illness was not. So it would really be draining on me, right? Then chasing different clients, and it's just like, no. Versus men, couples, and women. I'm probably more effective with women individually, which is why I do so great with couples, because I do individual with both when I'm working with couples too, here and there. But it just made the most sense, and it took so much less out of me than working with other people. But it wasn't until I was stressed out like crazy, dealing with different people, versus I got my systems in place. So like when I start working with a couple now, I run my first 5 sessions the same way. And it worked like gold for the most part, right? I do one individual one, shorten my assessment, give them some communication stuff, because 9 times out of 10 is communication. So I give them some light homework. We follow back up, see what went well with that. Then I do an individual with the man, individual with the woman. Then the 5th session, we come back together. That's already mapped out. I don't got to be creative with it at all. But versus me taking on different people, I got to see what all these different people need, etc. Where for the most part, that base first 5 sessions works for everybody.
Okay. So you created a system, and that system just blew off from. I love it.
Yeah, systems, holiday systems. No, I'm joking.
So
So that's what the company is about, putting those systems in place and identifying different ways that you could be better. That's why I came up with the name Holiday Systems. But from my perspective, I think on another level with working smarter, not harder, right? So there's a lot of different, I wouldn't say tricks and tips, but it's a system that I put in place that I learned being in corporate America. Is like even measuring your capacity, or even doing things in shorter increments, time boxes. And when I say time boxes, I mean a lot of people try to have a goal met by the end of the year. But what I do is I say, what's your goal for the year, or even 5 years, right? Then we drill it back to, okay, where do you want to be at year 2.5? Or where do you want to be at the end of this year? Once we get to the end of this year, then we can really start getting to work. Then we go into quarters. There are 4 quarters in a year. So now we're going to get to that first quarter that we're going to start developing or doing work. And I like to work in sprints. It comes from software development, but it's used in a lot of different ways. So when you're working in a sprint, you have a sprint goal. That goal will direct you to where you need to go. So your capacity, like, am I going to be able to put the time and effort to have all of these items completed at the end of my 2 weeks? And if not, that means we need to move some items out. And what is the highest priority as well? So now that you have your priorities, you have your goal, and now you're going towards that goal, whether it's one person or a team full of people, you're going to get there quicker. And then if you do reach that goal early, you can start pulling from a refined backlog, we call it, more work. And then you can continue. And then once you see that moving and you see that happening faster, you're like, oh man, this really works. And then you're like, oh, I could take a little bit more on. And now you have to start growing. You have to start growing your team. You have to start growing your clients. You have to start really branching out, because every company needs sales, marketing, and product development or service development. So you can stay ahead of the curve. And you have to have data. So market research. You have to do all of these things in a company, but people think, oh, I can do this one thing. I'm going to go tell people I can do it, and they're going to buy from me. That is not the case, because people do not buy what you are doing. They buy because they trust you to do a good job. But if they do not know you, then they're going to either go to your website, they're going to go to your reviews, they're going to go to all of this. But if you're just starting out, you have to show people that you know what you're talking about. So that's branding, personal branding, and business branding. So the marketing comes after that. The brand builds trust. The marketing shows how valuable your service or product is. So, those systems really work. Holiday systems. Everybody's like, go check Holiday Systems out. But but yeah. So I do coaching, and I encounter a lot of different people, a lot of different industries in coaching. But like I told Adrian earlier, and my wife all the time, the world is very simple. It works the same way. But if you don't have discipline and you don't have consistency, anything you do, even if you take off, you're going to fail if you don't stay consistent and stay disciplined what you're doing. So I think military people, because we have been beaten down to be disciplined and have consistency, whether you like it or not, you're going to do well if you get out of the military for an honorable way out of the military, because some people get out on a different way. They don't do well, but that's another topic. So I do want to segue into some pillars, right? I had a conversation with
Wait, hold on, wait,
Go ahead.
before you do that, I got a question that's right down your alley. So when it comes to planning your goals, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's quarterly, monthly, whatever, do you overextend? Like, do you say, okay, or do you keep it realistic with what you probably really could do? Like, what advice would you give somebody who is saying, okay, let's say I want to be able to have 100 something sales. They feel like that's realistic. Should they really shoot for like 300? That way, if they don't reach their goal, it's still good. That makes sense what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. So if you haven't made a sale, your goal should be making that first sale to see how fast you do it, right? So if you haven't made a sale, you don't know, you don't have anything to measure off of, right? So let's say this sprint, I want to make one sale. Cool. If you make that sale in 2 days, okay, it took me 2 days, and now I've identified everything I needed to do to make that sale. Now let me repeat it. If it take another 2 days, you're on the right track. So now let's say every 2 days I make a sale. So in a sprint, which is 14 days, that should be like 7 days, seven clients or 7 sales, whatever your product or service is. 7 sales in 14 days. Now, if you want to grow that, whether it is marketing, whether it is outreach, whatever you're doing, we want to increase that number, right? So now that you have that number increased consistently, you have to know what your average is. So now if your average for a month is 14 sales, we want the next month to be 28 sales, right? So now we are identifying and leaning out processes. We're identifying and leaning out blockers and things that are stopping me from making those sales. And we're trying to implement different ways of getting better. So what I didn't say at the beginning in this sprint, we have different ceremonies, quote unquote, whether it's software development, product development, or any team that I work with or a company I work with. We always have a retrospective at the end of every 2 weeks where we bring forth data to see how we performed in those 2 weeks to identify ways to improve. What went well, that's one thing. What went well, what went poorly, as in like this really was a headache. It stopped me from doing what I needed to do. We don't want that to happen again. And then ideas on improvement. If this is a team that's discussing this, you'll have a lot of conversation. And then you have actions that come out of that. So the actions, that's a big part. When you are taking action, you are putting that inside of the next sprint if it's something that you are capable of doing. So you can be better. You have to get better every day. You have to get better every sprint. You have to get better every month. So what I tell anybody that's trying to grow, have a number that is realistic, but you have to have something to measure it off of on the back end. Because if you haven't made a sale, why are you saying you want 100? You want 100. You don't know if you like, is this even the right product you need to sell? Like, does it make sense? Are you delivering value to your customer? Because that's what it comes down to. Is your service or product delivering value? And is it delivering value in a timely manner? Because in the day and age that we live in, people want to have value immediately, right? So people understand it takes time, but if you're taking a long time, then people are not going to buy from you. You're going to say, oh, they don't really know what they're doing. Even if you do know what you're doing, maybe you can improve. So like I said, the world works the same way. It's all built off of continuously improving everything you do. And that's why I say I'm going to go into these pillars, which is faith. That's one. Fitness, business, and mental health. So that's why I brought you guys on the panel, because we all need this. We all need mental health to improve everything. We all need to be fit, because that plays into your mental health as well, whether you know it or not. Everything is connected. Business, if you are working in a business or you have a business, those two things are going to be very important, because if you're not healthy, whether it's your mental health or your body, you won't be able to run your business. And faith, if you do not believe in yourself, if you don't believe in a higher calling, a higher being, I believe in God, but some people don't, but they believe in something higher than them, then you have to have that, because at the end of the day, some days that's all you have, because things are not going well and you need something to pick you up, because Adrian not going to be able to tell you what to do. Gene not going to be able to say, hey, you could do it when you're at the gym. You might think he lying because you ain't even in my business, but he's there to make you stronger, right?
Mhm.
And me, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep it real with you. And Adrian, no, I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it real. If you ain't making a sale, don't be having your number up like that. You need to tone it down, big fella. But I want to get your take on it, on your guy, because I believe that these are pillars that you need. But I want you guys to let me know, do you guys believe that these are 4 pillars that you really need in life, period? So I'll go to Gene first.
For sure. Because I think if you take those four, they tap into every single aspects of our lives, right? Because I think if you have fitness, then you understand discipline, right? You understand consistency, right? Because I really truly believe the word that describes fitness the most is consistency. No matter how hard you work out, if you stop, it don't matter, right? You have to be consistent. And I think for mental health, that's where that to me is where that like the resilience come in. So what I'm saying, where it's like you have to understand that, like, you know what, I got to work on myself and I need to be in tip top shape to take care of my life. And outside of those things you were speaking about, I believe your life is a business, right? Like if you're budgeting for your family, that's the business you're running, is me and the 8 kids and the wife, like that's the business that I'm running, you
Facts.
know. And they may be the customers, or they also may be the workers, or they're, the co-owners as well, right? And then with faith to me is just, I'm a faithful person, right? I believe in God, I believe in a higher power, but I also understand that some people don't. But a lot of the times though, even the people that don't believe in God itself, most people close their eyes and hope for something. That hope to me is faith. Is hoping that, like, hey, man, I just want this to change. Because if you don't believe in anything, then you could just thug it out, and just like, I gotta do this. But when you have hope and you believe that, something's gonna change, that's having faith that like something is gonna change my situation for as long as I'm putting the work in. So I think those 4 pillars cover every single aspects of somebody's life. So I love
All right, over to you, Adrian.
Nah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I don't even know what you want me to say after that. But
them.
but nah. So I'll say I got to get on my fitness, man. And hearing y'all talk about it, right? It's like it's real. If your fitness is not right, it affects everything. I'll be tired because of the foods and things that I eat, my bandwidth. Now, the reason why it hasn't affected me as much as everybody else is because of my ability in my mind and my thoughts and how to process different things and how to know what's affecting me, manage my emotions, etc. But I'm right at the cliff. You know what I'm saying? It's time to reel this thing, because that's the only piece that I'm missing is my fitness area. So I signed up for these boxing classes. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I get free access to the gym, 2 hours training sessions. Am I fighting nobody somebody? Absolutely not. I'm not training to nah, I'll fight anybody, but I'm not about to box and be willing to just take pain for it. Nah, it don't work like that. But definitely, and then the mental health piece, I think the major thing about that is just awareness, right? I feel like we are so unaware of ourselves, of our bandwidth, of our triggers, what to do with with those triggers, right? We literally move based on things that we take in, and we're not strategic about the things that we take in, right? We just allow these automatic downloads to just dictate, kind of how we move. And then, like you said, business and your life. Our life is a business. You're a part of a business in some way, shape, or form. If you're not mentally prepared, you're going to lose your job. If you can't control your emotions, right? If you can't identify when you're having physical reaction to something, or something that's too difficult for you to talk about, or even when you at an 8, you might need to call out for the rest of the day, it can cost you everything, right? So I think that's the other thing. Physically, if you're not taking care of yourself, it can cost you everything. One heart attack, stroke, it's a wrap, right? Mentally, you take yourself out. Like, it's a reason. Even Dominique putting this together, men need other men, right? We try to do everything on our own, and that's what messes us up. That's why we kill ourselves more than anybody else, even though it's only females. But we got to make sure we come together. And then the faith, that's the piece for when nobody else is there. It's just you and the man upstairs, right? Me and my relationship with God is based off of obedience. It's based off of me reading those scriptures. But then other times when I'm like, God, where are you? And he's like, yo, I'm here. Right? When I slide and I read that Bible and he say, hey, I'm married to the backslider. Okay, I'm not gonna throw you away like nobody else. Let's go forward. You're not your mistakes, etc. So it's literally a circle, how y'all have been saying it. So I encourage anybody, whatever area is not as strong, or your weakest area now, I guarantee if you make that your strongest one by the end of the year, you'll see an increase in every other area of your life. So the next time y'all see, well, not the next time, give me to like December, I might have some abs, and y'all gonna see everything. Oh, dang, you don't even be on no more. Yeah, I got this contract, this, that, and this, because I finally gave fitness the area and the attention that it needed. Or I stopped playing and really sat with Dominique so I could get these systems, and stuff, in place. So I really encourage y'all, whichever one of those things is your lowest, go ahead and make it your highest before the end of the year out. But break it down into whatever Dominique called it, sprints and quarterly and all that good stuff.
But
Yeah.
I do want to say like one last thing, right? I think when it comes to fitness, for sure, that there is a stigma out there that
Mhm.
us fit people, it's just easy. Like, where it's like, oh yeah, y'all, since y'all already there, and it's like, no, like this is 6 days a week. I have to make sure that I'm in that gym, that I'm lifting or I'm running those miles, but like I think like people really believe just once you get fit, it's just easy to be in the gym. No, it's the same mental toughness you still need to have. Like, God, I gotta be in there. But at some point, you start to fall in love with the process, and then there becomes a, man, I look like this now. What if I keep going? I'm lifting this now. What if I keep going? I'm running these amount of miles now. What if I keep going? And it's the same for every aspect of y'all lives, and everything we do, right? Just putting those 10,000 hours, right? Because I heard this quote is, when you're healthy, you have 1,000 problems, right? But when you're sick, you actually only have one problem. So that's it.
Ooh, fire. Smoke coming from the mic. But yeah, like Gene said, it is hard. It is not easy. And then you find yourself like you want to drink the night before and try to get up and go to the gym, and you will not do it. If you do it, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it in the gym. It just makes you, like, being in the gym makes you be better. Like, it makes you have to be better, and it makes you want to be better. Nobody will listen to the guy that only goes to the gym when he wants to. Nobody wants to go to the gym every day, but I try to go to the gym every day. And if I don't go 7 days or 6 days, I might be 4 or 5, because life happens. Sometimes you can't make it to the gym. But even on vacation, I try to do a little something, get me going. And then you notice when you don't go to the gym, it's like when you are reading the Bible or you're just have a routine and then your routine is thrown off, you feel terrible. Like you feel like you are a slob, really. Like, oh, I didn't go to the gym today. I'm a bum. And then you're like, I'm not gonna be a bum tomorrow. That's how it makes you feel. But it's a good feeling though, because it pushes you. And like Gene said on one of our talks, it's hard to go to the gym by yourself. It is really hard to go to the gym by yourself, and it's hard to do anything by yourself. And that's why we are here, right? We're here to help men, help people be better. We have every piece. I know Donnie not here tonight, but he's a piece of that puzzle as well, a piece of that circle, like Gene said. So have a full circle, whether that's friends, whether that's the environment you live in. It's like people say you have, five, you're surrounded by 5 millionaires, you'll be the 6th. But
That's facts.
the other thing they don't tell you, and I'm gonna tell you, if you're surrounded by 5 bums, you're gonna be the 6th one.
That's facts. That's facts.
So before I know we're getting into like almost at 7:30. So daily habits and small wins. That's the next thing I want to touch on. So daily habits, of course, going to the gym, praying, going to the gym. I have therapy, even though sometimes I don't feel like I need to go. Because Adrian will tell you, the weeks that I don't have therapy are the hardest weeks. It's something that I lied to you, not Gene. It's something that happens that week, maybe that night. I'm like, I should went to therapy, and then I'm questioning myself, like, dang, am I the problem? Because it happened, like because I didn't go to therapy. But every week that I go to therapy, I have a great week. I have a great 2 weeks because I don't go every week like I used to, but I go every other week. But every week that I don't go, or every other week that I miss, it's bad, man. It's just because you're out of your routine, you're out of your pattern, you're out of your mind is drifting now. Like if I go to therapy, I'm thinking about, okay, what has happened in these last 2 weeks? Is there anything I need to bring up? And then it may be something that he calls out that I didn't see, and then I could go into the week being better, right? But if I don't meet with him, I may just not know that that's a problem, and I'm gonna keep doing the problem. So, what daily habits do you guys feel that you need in your life to have small wins? Adrian, I'll lead off with you this time.
So I'll say I got 2 of them. One, I do a 6 a.m. men's call because that's just like for me. That thing be. I'm trying to get up at 5, but right now I do 6, and that my goal is at least start walking and jogging while on the call. You know what I'm saying? I did it for a little bit, but I want to get consistent with that. But that just gets me grounded, man. We do a devotional. We answer some questions that literally just sets the tone for me for the day to where I'm feeling good. I done got a good word in. That's super helpful. The other thing that I do is when I'm coming home from work, and I may have talked about this before, like I don't listen to no music or nothing at all. Like that's just my time to decompress. That way I could be in a good space for when I do come home to my family. Because if I don't do that, like if I'm talking on the phone, when I get home, I'm gonna be a little irritable, right? I'm not even gonna be able to receive the gift of the 8 kids and the beautiful wife that all just want to run up on me. It's like, yo, get away from me, let me breathe. But and sometimes I take the long way home. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I take the long way home just to woo. So I would say those are the 2 things that I do most consistently. That's just kind of like for myself. And I think with Dominique, one of the things is you keeping those appointments is one of the things that you do for yourself. It's not about business. It's not about the family. It's not about nobody else. It's literally you. And I think that being consistent with that area in our lives, I think that just helps in all areas. So
What about you, Gene?
For me, obvious, right? It would be I got to get a workout in. Like if I I gotta get one in. And I think a lot of time for me as well, like I try to start new routines as well. Especially, if I know that they work. Um, because contrary to popular belief, right? I can like I cannot wake up really early, or it's very difficult for me to, right? So the last 6 months, 3 to 4 times a week, I'm getting up 3:30, 4 o'clock to do my runs and do my workouts, right? So I'm hoping by next year it's like muscle memory at that point, right? So for me, for sure, it's waking up, getting a workout in. When I get my workout in early, the rest of the day just feels so much better, so much better. And I realize when I work out early, I get off of work, I just have time to decompress, relax. I don't want to go out. I don't want to like. I want to come home. Just get some tea, eat, and chill. That's it. you know and then when I do that, it just helps me, like, the next day I can actually try to wake up at that 3 o'clock again, right? So for me, the like it's really getting that workout in and making that bed. I don't know why, but like the last 5, 6 years, I've really been like on making my bed in the morning. And when I get home, just looking at it, it really, I kid you not, it really, really does something to you. It's like, even if you had like, a bad day or a bad few hours, because I don't believe the whole day was bad. Something happened, that was good. You ate well, you had a great combo, right? But just looking at that made up bed is like, I did that, to the work day was bad, but hey, I knocked that out. So that's definitely a few of my routine that I make sure that I get in for sure. And I have to listen to music on my way to work. If I don't, I can't have a good day. Like, and it don't matter what type.
I'm gonna tell you something, Gene, because you're a little younger. When I'm on the road, and I don't know if Adrian does this, but when I'm on the road, I don't listen to anything. Yo, I don't listen to music. Like I might listen to a podcast or like something like or the ocean. I don't know. Like I just feel like I need my mind to stop running sometime. And when I'm driving, and I'm driving to my mom's house. She stay like an hour away, and I noticed like for the last 30 minutes, I haven't said anything or heard anything, and I'm like, ooh, this is peace. Because when you have like I don't have 8 kids, but I have 3, and it's like, bro, just quiet makes you so happy. Like it's just a great feeling to just drive and not have someone say daddy, not to say your full name because your wife calling you to do something. And like you don't have to get because I have a 13-year-old, for me not to have to look and he did something. I'm like, hey, like trying to yell and tell him to come here to give him a talk or hear a baby crying because I got a 1-year-old too. So that silence or just hearing the air, like I ride with the window down, just like I don't close my eyes, but I just envision like, wow. And then it's not really like because I'm stressed. It's more so like, man, I'm happy for my life. And I just want to bask in it. And I want to just thank God, like, thank you for everything that you gave me, everything that you're doing, all the lessons, even the hard lessons that I've learned, because that's what it's about, continuously improving and being a better self so you can be better for others. So I know we're not way over time, but we're over time a little bit. So the last thing I'm gonna say is mindset shifting is a big part of life. And we have a school community where you could get in contact with Adrian, you could get in contact with Gene, you could get in contact with Donnie, right? And I am going to be teaching different ways to implement systems on a smaller scale for free. Well, it's not free because the community not free, but it's very cheap. It's about like a Happy Meal. But you're going to get some real value out of it. So join the community. Every Sunday, I'm going to start teaching. And you can have conversations with Adrian, book a time on his calendar if you want Gene to give you virtual coaching or give you tips and tricks. He'll be there too. I don't know. He's in a transition period right now, moving from Virginia to back to Florida. So, you know, just join the community and we'll be here to help. And Donnie as well. He'll be there too. You know, you can join his Bible study. So that is 5 a.m. after hours. Great convo, guys. And thank you for joining. On the next topic, it'll be AI as a partner, because you know we're living in the AI age. So I'm gonna show you guys how to use AI as a partner. It's not gonna take your job. It's just gonna help you. It's like a baby. Just raise it. All right, guys. Thanks.